What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Okay, there's a bunch of you who are like, I don't know, what did you tell me? Because, well, what I'm referring to is the longest "what did I tell you" ever, and only something that, like, probably Trick would know, because it was about 2 years ago when this whole merger with Xbox and Activision and Bethesda, this was all going on. I was adamantly against it. A number of people were for it and were actually angry that it wasn't going through, and I said, no, like, this is Keynesian economics. We know what's going to happen. They're going to buy up everything and then they're going to raise the price. That's just what companies do. They're not out there looking to help you. They're not trying to just make things easier on you. Oh, we want to get everything, put it on Game Pass because we want to hook you up. No, no, that's not it at all. Companies only value you when you give them money. Like, you'll never see Nintendo on X, defending Steve from Liverpool because they don't care about Steve from Liverpool. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break that to you, Steven. I care about you, but I'm just saying, these companies, they don't care unless you're giving them money, and the only goal they have is how to get more money from you. For those of you living under a rock and don't know what I'm talking about, Microsoft just announced price increases. This is across the board. Games are now $80. The Series X is now $599, and in fact, the 2 terabyte version is $729, which, by the way, if you were mocking the PlayStation Pro, that deal looks pretty good now, because at least you get new hardware and it, is all fancy and everything. But even things like the Series S, which was kind of marketed as this kind of family-friendly option, or those who don't have the means to really jump into the next generation, well, you can kind of like dip your toe in. This is sort of a bridge, if you will. Well, even that is now more expensive than what the PlayStation 5 digital came out at the beginning. It's over $400. And I don't know if you heard me right. Yes, games are now $80. Now, there's a number of people who are pointing to Nintendo and saying it's their fault that games went up to $80. To be clear, these companies move a lot slower than that. They aren't as reactionary as we are. So this has been planned for a while. You don't need to act like that was something that Nintendo, introduced $80 and Microsoft is like, oh, we need to do that too. And listen, I'm sure Sony is going to be doing the same thing. Right now, for some reason, Sony is kind of protecting their customers in America to an extent. And I'm not saying this just because, like, I play Sony more. I am not a Sony fanboy, none of that. But I will say, around the world, globally, they've been increasing their prices of their hardware. And either it's a really slow rollout or they're trying to save face here in America right now. I don't know which one it is, but either way, they're going to end up having to raise their prices. It's just the way it is. So the question is, what do we do? Now, I can tell you one thing that I personally plan on doing, and I'm as guilty as anyone else for not really bringing this problem up in the last year or so, and in fact, maybe deciding to review more costly, $70, $80 games. I personally plan on focusing more on indie and AA titles, specifically AA titles as much as I possibly can. Of course, I'll still cover some of the big AAA titles just because that's how it is, but ultimately, over the last year or so, I've also realized that so many of these games are just as good, if not better. One of the big ones is Expedition 33, which JP and I, JP from Good Talk HQ, we're working on a little bit of a collab to review this game, and I can already tell you, it is my game of the year. It was made by 30 people, and I got it for like $42, and this game is phenomenal. Like, it is that game. This is the statement I think we need to make with our consumer dollar. We're gonna financially support more of these AA titles, these smaller studios who are bringing us very high quality games at a cheaper price. And just because they don't have the title of God of War or Halo or whatever, that doesn't matter. We are going to overlook that and then try to find new series and, developers who actually want to make games better instead of just the same tired formula. That is definitely something that we can do. The other thing that I'm really curious about is this because of the tariffs? You see, Microsoft hadn't really come out and said, hey, we're raising prices because of the tariffs. They just said we're raising prices. And, of course, so many people are incredibly angry because, well, why are they raising prices? They didn't explain it. And I do think we need some clarity. I understand there's a number of companies who do not want to piss the president off and they don't want to get involved in any of this. And so there's kind of this I don't know, dancing around, walking on eggshells sort of thing that we see. And of course, even just bringing up tariffs pisses off a number of people. But I think we need to know. And the reason why I think we need to know is because there's a consultant group, a title that you probably never heard of called price optimization specialists. Now, these work with big corporations, and when they see something, like when inflation was out of control in 2022, corporations worry about what are they going to do. Well, these guys come in, work with the corporations, and they say, oh, no, we got you. We got you. You see, we're going to just raise the prices. We're going to gouge people, essentially. See, in 2022, all we heard about was inflation and, oh, we have to raise our prices. There's just nothing else we can do. Yet these same corporations were reporting like record profits and doing incredibly well. Well, nobody really kept them in check and nobody really looked into price gouging. Well, it's these consultants that recently start working with other corporations once the tariffs became announced is a way to say, hey, look, yes, this all looks bad for you, but we got you. We're just going to raise prices even if tariffs are not involved. And this is a massive problem that no one is looking into. And in fact, it's so blatant. I read this article just with one of these optimization specialists just saying flat out that there's always going to be opportunity for growth. Well, what do you think that means? I mean, really breaking down the fact that they can just raise prices because, well, what if tariffs will affect it down the road? What if inflation comes back? What if blah, blah, blah? Like, in this article, this guy was just coming up with all these justifications for raising prices and how they sort of guide these corporations on the best moves. But again, it was price gouging, without a doubt, price gouging. And so that's why I want to know. You see, because in the video game industry, we have really gone digital, like far too digital. But the one thing that I think you could say about digital is, well, there's no tariffs on digital. There shouldn't be anyway. I don't know why there would be. So why are games going up to $80 then? If for the most part they're just digital, shouldn't there be cheaper digital versions at least? Like, if you don't want to raise the prices, like, oh, we just have to because of the tariffs, we just have to because of this and that. Well, tariffs should not affect digital games. So they should stay at the same price, should they not? You don't have a justification for raising the price, and that's why I want to know if it's tariffs. We can calculate and figure out if that's what is going on. And hell, maybe Microsoft would even step up and say, yeah, actually we had to raise the price of the games because we didn't want to raise the price of controllers, and we thought, hey, you have Game Pass, so that might give you a better option to not feel the pain, if you will. But right now they're not saying anything, so we have no idea what it is, and we just have to assume they're a bunch of greedy turds. No, let me know what your thoughts are down below. I'm sure nobody is happy about the fact that the gaming industry in general and gaming as a hobby is just getting more and more expensive. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, and I appreciate the hell out of you. Love each and every one of you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.